a.m. and it's now time for the Morning Watch.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Welcome to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. And a special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, death threats against persons praying at the 40 days for life. And in the second watch, suicide on the rise with men. Why? For our social media question, we ask, why are the incidents of suicide among men going up? Share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp, 876-9973125. Using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on the program, but first, as I quote.
All right, this one, it says, to live in the past is to die in the present. Again, to live in the past is to die in the present, and this one is from Bill Belichick.
Well, yes, leave the past in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning, Jacob.
Good morning, good morning.
The first watch will be back after this break.
Love 101 FM, the family station, invites you to listen to the 2025-2026 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness on Thursday, March 20 at 2:15 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Join us as we count down to Arise 2025 this Easter Sunday, April 20 at the National Arena, 5 p.m. in Jamaica. You must be there. Listen to Love 101 for the music, the updates, giveaways, and much more. Thursdays, 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Get your tickets now at sporopen.com/Arise 2025. And come sing with the Hoppers. Celebrate with the Gospel Proclaimers, Kingsway Alumni Reunion Voices, Carrie Sales, Delica, Humble, and others. That's Countdown to Arise 2025. Listen to Love 101 Thursdays, 11:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Arise 2025, Easter Sunday, April 20, National Arena. It's gonna be a shouting time in Kingston.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch, the main watch, and 40 days for life. One newspaper headline read, Christian groups condemn death threat against 40 days for life leader. But this threatening behavior has been leveled not just against its leader, Dr. Daniel Thomas, president of the Love March movement, but others praying at the relevant location as well. What are the legal issues, if any, that surround this situation? What, of course, is a death threat or other threatening actions? Our guests are Philippa Davies, Advocacy Officer Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, and Sarah Webster. Sarah Webster is Vice President, Love March Movement, and she has also been praying at the 40 Days for Life. Sarah Webster, Philippa Davies, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Stokeley. Good morning to your listeners.
Good morning.
Now, first of all, this death threat, I'm sure it's being taken seriously. And the death threat to the president of the Love March movement, Dr. Daniel Thomas. Tell us what happens. I'm going to start with this Sarah Webster, as vice president of the Love March movement. And then I'll ask you to comment, Philippa Davies, certainly on the legal side. Sarah Webster, what really happened?
Good morning again, Stokeley. Good morning, Philippa, and good morning to the listeners. Thanks for having us again. Just to contextualize, if people don't know what the 40 Days for Life is, 40 Days for Life is an international organization that its pillars are prayer and fasting, constant vigil, and community outreach. And the aim of 40 Days for Life is to peacefully pray for the end of abortion and, of course, act as an educational presence in the streets. So we outreach in a way of saying if there's a woman in crisis, there's help, they don't have to harm their baby. So that's the context. It's not a protest. We're on Ivy Green Crescent and we're peacefully praying, which is totally legal, and worshiping and giving out contact cards. And so there has been death threats. There also have been assaults and there have been other threats. And not just, as you said, to people who go out there are at risk. And we do this because we want to see the end of the shedding of innocent blood in our nation. We did it for the first time last year, and we're doing it again because it is effective. When we pray and we fast, it's effective. And so far, 23 babies from last year till now have been saved. And that is a reason to celebrate. This thing is effective when we call out to God. And in fact, a woman who was contemplating abortion last year and chose life, she came out this year to pray. And I think that is such a mark of success of what the Lord does when he turns the heart of a mother to their child. It's a beautiful thing. And that's why we do this. That's why we're out here. And in that context, there are people who want to defend the killing of innocent human beings. And they want to defend it with violence. So that may come in the form of threats, that may come in the form of trying to intimidate us in various ways. And so that is what happened when the death threats came. And I wasn't there for that particular threat, but we communicate. And whenever there is some sort of threat, we also call the police, of course, because yes, we are there as lambs God sends us as lambs among wolves, but we are wise. We call the police, we let them, there's a report that was made of the situation because we do not take these things lightly. And it is a serious offense. And we know that it's because of the effectiveness of prayer, fasting, and community outreach why these violent threats are being meted out against us.
Philippa Davies, death threat against Dr. Daniel Thomas and other forms of intimidation. Good morning again.
Morning again, Stokeley.
What really happened in terms of Dr. Daniel Thomas, if you are allowed, if you can say?
I do believe that there was another report that was carried by the same newspaper that followed up on Sunday, and the title of that one was Not Backing Down, which speaks to what Sarah just testified, that we are Christian believers very concerned about what's happening to the most vulnerable of our citizens, the preborn child, and that there has to be a declaration and a proclamation by believers that every single human life, from conception to natural death, is of great value and inherent worth. And that is what the 40 Days for Life volunteers are doing by their prayer vigil. They're testifying to that value, and we're making a statement to everyone, the public, and to fellow believers, come and stand with us. Defend the gospel of Jesus Christ. Children's lives matter, born or preborn. That's what we're doing. And so the group is not backing down, we're standing. Threats have been made, there's been destruction, malicious destruction of property. So the volunteers have signs that say, you don't have to do this today. Adoption is a better option than abortion. If you need help, here is where help is offered, because this is what has happened also through the 40 Days for Life initiative. A group called Friends for Life have come alongside women in crisis pregnancies to say to them, whatever is the reason that is driving you to feel that abortion is the way to address whatever problem you're having, whether it is socioeconomic, whether it's emotional, there is a way that preserves life. So whether it is medical care, whether it's counseling, whether it is job hunting, skills training, somewhere to stay temporarily, Friends for Life is coming alongside these women to offer practical support so that they don't have to choose abortion. And as you know, Stokeley, research has been done that if women know that they have support and that they're not alone, they choose life. They instinctively know life is their value, but the circumstances that they're in is putting such pressure on them, and they feel alone, that if they know somebody standing with them, then they do change their mind. And interestingly, you know, Stokely, we've had conversations with persons, including the police, and there are many people who have this idea, oh, well, it is her choice. It is the mother's choice. That is a result of intentional propaganda behind the abortion movement to isolate the woman into thinking that it is her choice, when really and truly, there are three people involved. There's a man and the woman and the baby. So what do they want? What is best for the whole family? We're talking about a family unit. Well, everybody is entitled to the right to life. So she's not to be left alone, because we're talking about the lives of three individuals here. But this is a propaganda of isolating a woman, which adds to the pressure. So we want to undercut that by declaring the truth. She is not alone. There is also a father and the unborn baby. 3 lives here. All 3 matter. How can we intervene to preserve the life of all 3?
An issue here. Yes, I think my audio was in fact an issue. I was saying thank you, Philippa Davies, for outlining all of what you outlined. Thank you very much for that. In terms of Dr. Daniel Thomas, I don't know, because the matter was reported to the police. I don't know if there is an ongoing investigation at the moment. I am assuming there is, but to the extent that you can reveal any facts in terms of what happened on the relevant day, at the relevant time, at the relevant location, what, if anything, can you share, Philippa Davies or Sarah Webster, whichever of you wish to jump in and speak to that?
Philippa, you can go ahead.
Right. So as all of us are, we're on site, and an individual, a male, exited the premises, which is near where we are holding the praying,
Yes.
and gun fingered Dr. Thomas and made threats on his life.
Spoke certain words.
Spoke certain words, and then exited the location. But like Sarah said, and like has been reported in the newspaper, it is among other threats that are being made to all volunteers. There is the malicious destruction of the signs. Women come out and harass and try to move the volunteers from the public sidewalk where we are standing. Persons may try and drive up cars to try and move us off the sidewalk, or throw water on persons to intimidate or issue threats, call names.
Water has been thrown at persons.
Sorry?
Water has been thrown at persons.
Yes.
And the water has actually hit their bodies,
Yes.
And their clothes have become wet.
Yes.
Became wet.
Yes.
So the intention.
This is very serious.
Yeah, the intention, if I may jump in, is
Hold on, Sarah Webster. There's a lot more to unpack here.
Yes.
We're on a break already, though. So hold the thought. Don't lose your train of thought. Listeners, please stay with us. This is a very important segment this morning here on the Morning Watch. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Do more on the road. Discover a new and convenient way to send money abroad with the GK1 app. Download GK1 from the Google Play Store or Apple App Store to send with Western Union today. The time by Grace Kennedy Remittance is
7:15.
Life is on the go. You got this country going. Let's start with touching money. To go. Every take you out to the time anywhere. You live every day and night to the touch you see side. No challenge you can fight with friends before let's start with yourself. Just slow down. Immediately you. Friends with bonus and so proud with the way that me and ready to eat right out of the pan. Try the hot pepper, the delicious olive oil, or the new spicy fried chili on its own or on a cracker. However you like it. Friends with boneless sardines. Snacking made easy. Snacking made healthy. Snacking made tasty.
Febreze. Imagine getting home after a long day and it smells so amazing that it makes you smile. Try Febreze Plus, an air freshener that delivers continuous scent for up to 50 days when you plug it in low mode. Indulge in wonderful scents for weeks with Febreze.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life-changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Well, if you want buy appliances for your home with the quality high and the price low, get it on Habasco. Get it on Habasco. Everything with the need, Habasco. It's guaranteed on Habasco. It's up for your home. Get it on Habasco.
Ready to experience 6 times more freshness in your clothes? Try Downy Scent Beats. Its fragrance is so amazing, you'll have to sniff it to believe it. Try Downy Scent Beats today. 6 times more freshness versus using detergent alone.
Love 101 FM, the family station, invites you to listen to the 2025-2026 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness on Thursday, March 20 at 2:15 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the first watch of a very important segment. The topic is death threats against persons praying at the 40 Days for Life, and our guests are Philippa Davies, Advocacy Officer, Jamaica Coalition for Healthy Society, and Sarah Webster, Vice President, Love March Movement. Also, she has been praying, Sarah Webster, well, both of you ladies, in fact, yes. Both Philippa Davies and Sarah Webster have both been praying at the 40 Days for Life. Now, Sarah Webster, just before the break, you said something that was very earth-shattering. I want to give a little context as well. The location where the praying is being done is at Ivy Green Crescent, and the death threat was to none other than the leader himself, the president of the Love March movement, went straight to the top to make the threat to him, Dr. Daniel Thomas, the leader of the Love March movement. And among the things that have been said is that persons have thrown water. Persons have thrown water on persons praying peacefully at a location in an effort for the ending of the abortion of unborn human beings. I have never heard anything so scandalous in all of my life in Jamaica. Never ever heard of it. Now, I saw a video that I received, and I saw someone in the video taking away at least one sign from the location, and the behavior of the person, interestingly a female, the behavior of the person was vulgar and very intimidating, intimidatory towards the persons who were praying at the location. I found it shocking. Sarah Webster, please continue, because you made mention that water was thrown at persons who went there to pray got wet.
Yes, and right before, I just want to touch on the sign issue. So, as Philippa said, we have different signs. One of them said, "Don't harm your baby. We're here to help," and it has a contact number. So, I've heard people say like abortion is a last resort. Even people who are pro-abortion say it's a last resort. That if there's help, then of course go with the help. So, when you see somebody taking and ripping up a sign that says you don't have to harm your baby, there's help, you understand that this is not natural. This
It
is
is suggesting that they want the baby to die. It is suggesting that they want the baby to be murdered. Just say it, Sarah Webster.
yes, of course.
Why are you using all this diplomatic
No,
language? It's a life. It's
it's
an
a life.
unborn human life. I am on record as being very pro-life, so
Yeah.
no one is supposed to be shocked at what I'm saying. Now, continue, Sarah Webster, because water was thrown at the person and other things took place. Continue.
Right, and this is all of the signs. The water is intended to intimidate us, and so starting with the ripping up of the sign and then the throwing water, how it is done is as if it's supposed to keep down the dust. So I don't know if you know of this practice in Jamaica where people will sweep the front of a store and then throw water to keep down the dust, right?
Yes.
Obviously, it's not just to keep down the dust, because intentionally the lady is a lady throwing water to move us from particular points at the sidewalk. And the reason they don't want us on the sidewalk is because we meet women who change their minds about abortion. They choose life, and it affects the bottom line when people choose life, because when they choose life, they're no longer choosing death for the child. And obviously there are people who want to vehemently defend abortion, and it's evident in
So the person would be doing two things: keeping down the dust as well as using the water to remove you from where you are standing and praying.
I mean, it comes with, they're telling us you don't see, you must move. They're throwing the water and say, move me, I wet up right here, right now. But it's interesting that only the spot that we are at is being wetted. I mean, they'll throw it other places, and then other things that people have lied down in the road so that we cannot pass the sidewalk. So
what?
Yes, to block our path. So these people are opposers.
This is a massive operation to oppose the persons who have gone there to pray for unborn human beings.
Yeah.
This is past scandalous.
And also, Stokeley, they've come with a line argument that we must stand 100 feet from the location or 100 yards. It keeps changing depending on who the person is. And these are persons who are coming out of the facility, coming over to instruct us to move. When we question and ask, well, which law says that? They take it as an affront and then get hostile. And then somebody else will come on another day with 100 feet, 100 yards. And again, when they're questioned, because we've checked the law, so we make sure that we are acting within the bounds of the law and we're on a public sidewalk. And there is no such thing in the law about standing 100 feet or 100 yards from any location, other than if it were a specified location like King's House.
Yes.
Or Vale Royal. So there's nothing in the law that prohibits us from standing on a public thoroughfare, public walkway to pray about saving the lives of fellow Jamaican citizens. But these are some of the tactics that they're using. Nevertheless, we're saying, Stokeley, to the believers listening this morning, This is a matter of life and death. This is about God's kingdom in your country, Jamaica. Come and stand with us. This is nation building, but also declaring the kingdom, asking the Lord for his kingdom to be established in our nation. So come every day. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Every day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. will be
8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every weekday?
Every day.
Every day.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come again. Until April 13th, until Palm Sunday. 40 days from Ash Wednesday to Palm Sunday. Come
8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, including weekends, until Palm Sunday.
Yes, come and stand with us.
Until Palm Sunday. And just for the benefit of the listeners, can one of you just quickly check the calendar and just remind us what date is Palm Sunday?
April 13. April 13.
April 13. Okay. So listeners, you have heard it. 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day, including Saturdays and Sundays until Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday this year, 2025, this year of our Lord, will be the 13th of April. Philippa Davis, anything else you want to assist us with in terms of information? Because this seems to be, I've never, well, let me ask you this, Philippa Davis. I find this interesting because in Jamaica, abortion is illegal. Are you surprised at the level of pushback you're receiving in terms of this protest?
Well, a person should ask themselves why. Why is there this level of hostility? Why is this pushback?
Actually, I'm going to correct myself. It's not a protest.
That's right.
You're not out there protesting.
No.
You're out there praying silently. You're out there having a prayer vigil. So let me correct myself, because when Jamaicans hear about the word protest, they think of people out there blocking the road and making mayhem. Yeah. No, that's not what you're doing. You're praying. Right. So are you surprised, Philippa Davis, at the level of pushback you're getting in terms of this prayer?
I'm not surprised, because we understand, Stokeley, what the abortion industry is based on and what its intention. So this is actually evidence. This is actually proof of what we are praying about and praying for an end. It's exploitation. It is blood money. It is destruction. It is men and women who are spiritually blind and enslaved to a lie. And therefore, we ramp up our prayers because they too need deliverance. They too need to come to the light. They too need salvation. And we are not going to allow the enemy of our souls to destroy more lives. And therefore, we continue with our stance, our prayerful stance.
I think the fact that water is being used to try to chase you away from a location or to have you move, as they say, to move from where you're standing. I think that, as well as the other acts of intimidation, I mean, I did see that video where the lady took away one of the signs, and you're saying, Mr. Davis, that that was a sign that persons could look at. Well, one of you did say it was a sign in terms of a number that can be used to call to say, I need help. What can I do to find an option other than killing my unborn child? In terms of persons contacting any of you to join the prayer outside of the relevant facility on Ivy Green Crescent, what number do you have to share?
All right, so I'll take this one. You can contact us at 876-563-0216.
0216, yes.
Or 876-595 7565.
7565.
And I don't recall if it was the sign that said, don't harm your baby, and with the contact information, that's one of the signs that are there. But all of the signs are like pregnant, need help, adoption, none of them are violent. None of them are even oppositional, because as he said, it's not.
No, the violence is being done to you out there praying, and it's legal to pray to God.
Yeah, and we pray silently and we pray aloud, we worship, we walk on the road, but we're not doing anything illegal. And I want Jamaicans to know also that the Lord does not take the shedding of innocent blood lightly.
The number again, Sarah Webster, 876-563-0216.
Yeah, that's correct.
876-595-7565. Any email address in case, or you don't want to share an email address?
Sure, that's Friends for Life.
Yes.
At lovemarchmovement.org.
Friends for Life at lovemarchmovement.org. Friends for Life at lovemarchmovement.org.
That's
okay.
Right.
So in terms of the persons who have been doing the threatening, in terms of the persons who have been, doing the intimidating, who are some of these persons, if you can identify them? Philippa Davis?
No, we don't know them by name, but they come in and out of the facility.
They come in and out of the facility at which you have been praying, and this is the same facility where it's alleged that unborn human beings are being aborted. I see. No, any additional security measures that maybe you are trying to take at around this time, or in the terms of the 40 days for life, because you have quite a number of days left. And we know that you can call the police, but sometimes by the time the police arrive, Philippa Davis?
We have 2 security guards with us every day, standing with us every day.
Well, thank God for that.
Yes.
Thank God for that. I think we're completely out of time. Sarah Webster, a final word in a couple of seconds, if you wish to.
The Lord doesn't take the shedding of innocent blood lightly. Come out and pray. Give your time and pray for the end of abortion in Jamaica.
Okay. Forgive the passion that I showed this morning. I'm just in total shock. Thank you, ladies, for being with us this morning in this first watch. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts.
Thank you
for the opportunity.
Mrs., please stay with us. We'll be right back on the morning watch.
Project account in the Jamaica Bank Savings Dreams promotion and save money for a chance to win an all expenses paid trip to Peru. Enter now. The time by J Bank Savings Dreams promotion is
7:31.
Jamaica's next chapter is approaching. Get ready for a pivotal moment in Jamaica's economic future. This Thursday, March 20, Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Willis will take center stage to make his contribution to the 2025-26 budget debate, outlining the government's plans to drive growth, development, and prosperity for all Jamaicans. Tune in to hear the Prime Minister's vision for the country's economic future as he addresses key issues on the economy, job creation, infrastructure development, social welfare initiatives, and more. It's the 8th consecutive budget of no new taxes. Set the date, don't be late, this Thursday, March 20 at 2:15 p.m. Join the conversation on Jamaica's economic future. Jamaica's next chapter, accelerating growth for your peace, productivity, and prosperity. Want to earn your degree from a U.S. university? Qualified Caribbean residents can study 100% online at Dubai University with 50% tuition savings and a waived application fee. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Restrictions apply. Visit partner.devright.edu/Caribbean today. In Jamaica, your rights are protected by our Constitution. From the right to education to freedom of expression, every citizen deserves respect and dignity. But remember, with rights come responsibilities. Let's uplift and respect each other and stand against injustice. Together, we can make Jamaica a better place for ourselves and future generations. Know your rights. Embrace your responsibilities. This message was brought to you by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
Breeze. Imagine getting home after a long day and it smells so amazing that it makes you smile. Try Febreze Plus, an air freshener that delivers continuous scent for up to 50 days when you plug it in low mode. Indulge in wonderful scents for weeks with Febreze.
Are you looking for unbeatable deals? Look no further. Offred is having a super sale. March 19 to March 40. Visit us in Kingston, Mandeville, Draxall, and Montego Bay. Discover amazing deals on hardware items, electrical items, chandeliers, flood lamps, LED bulbs, and much more. You cannot afford to miss this deal. Shop and save at the Fossridge Super Sale. March 19 to March 40. Only at Fossridge. Open Sunday.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. And we have here in the Jamaica Observer. Full steam ahead. British Council's £1.7 million to help AI, artificial intelligence development skills in schools. And there's a photograph here of some students and the Minister of Education and other persons. Officials. We now have in Loop Jamaica News update. Men suspected of shooting, injuring cops in Mobe, fatally shot. And we have in the Gleaner, we were in the dark. Early retirement leave shocked former employees in political ombudsman's office with little to show for decades in terms of their work, decades of service. It goes on to read, among other things, 2 former elderly employees of the now defunct Office of the Political Ombudsman, OPO, who together contributed nearly 40 years of service to that institution, are today in dismay after going on retirement early last year and being told that they are not entitled to a gratuity or even a compassionate grant. The current situation has left Jenny Blake, former office attendant, and Anne Berry, former messenger, in shock as repeated efforts to secure gratuity over many years were met with sheer disappointment. The Gleaner understands that the staff of the OPO were told that they were not entitled to pension benefits because the office was created as a commission of Parliament. Those and many other stories in our various news sources. Coming up next, we'll read through some of the feedback from our Facebook, YouTube, and WhatsApp question, which is, why are incidents of suicide among men going up? If you haven't done so yet, leave your responses on our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
Women standing tall and strong. Satchco celebrates International Women's Day all month long. For her day, her deals. 7,500 bonus points on new Satchco Bank credit cards. Special rates on
Don't let freshness hit you when you need it the most. Wash your clothes with Downy Softener to keep dazzling everyone around you from day to night. Try Downy Softener now.
Love 101 FM, the family station, invites you to listen to the 2025-2026 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness on Thursday, March 20 at 2:15 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Now for responses to our social media question, your responses. The question being, why are the incidents of suicide among men going up, Jakal?
All right, so we do have a response from Cherry in Spanish Town. Cherry says, most men don't talk about their problems. Most men don't want to seek help. They think they can manage on their own. Most men cannot handle pressure and get frustrated. What we all need to remember is no man is an island, no man stands alone. Sometimes we need to lean on others and ask for help.
Well, let's get right into it. It is said that more men than women in Jamaica are committing suicide. Why is this so? Our guests to discuss this today are Dr. Paul Bourne, research consultant, and Chris Nesbeth, licensed associate clinical psychologist. Good morning, Dr. Paul Bourne. Good morning, Chris Nesbeth.
Good morning. Good morning to your listeners.
Good morning. Why? Why are men committing suicide? why more men than women are committing suicide. If I could use a bit of Jamaican, I warm to the man them, starting with you, Chris Nesbitt.
That's a good question. And when it comes to situations like these where we're talking about something as big as suicide, it has multifaceted answers. So it's very difficult to come up with one answer for the question of why are Jamaican men are committing suicide. One of the biggest things that have happened to us all culturally, globally, nationally, has been the COVID-19 pandemic. And while we can't only point fingers to the COVID-19 pandemic, generally we're seeing that the risk factors that come about with suicide, COVID has aggravated a lot of those risk factors.
So are you saying the numbers went up? Well, Dr. Bourne can confirm. Are you saying the numbers went up during that period, Mr. Nesbitt?
I do think the numbers have gone up. We don't have specific national statistics that speak to suicide rates in Jamaica. Those kind of statistics are emerging, and I'm sure Dr. Bourne can shed a light on that. But I would say anecdotally, a lot of suicide, we've seen the rates kind of trample up since COVID, yes.
Dr. Bourne.
It's fascinating in terms of this relating to suicide. And I heard Mr. Nesbitt actually speaking to that. We do have
the numbers go up.
We do have numbers on suicide. One such set of numbers are on the JCF website, and I've also published a study from 2000 to 2019 on the matter relating to suicide. So those figures are out. Are the numbers up? Not really. But what we need to understand clearly, and that's why a number of persons are thinking about suicide as a really major issue, because Jamaica is low in suicide in terms of the world. We're at the bottom 5% in terms of suicide. We're at 2 per 100,000.
Men are resilient.
Extremely resilient. So even though a number of persons are saying men are not seeking help, the society put a lot of strain on men. And there's a lot of expectation of men. And those expectations of men are what is creating the problem. So let's take, for example, and Mr. Nesbitt did to speak on that as well.
When you say expectations of men, I know we're going to come back to Mr. Nesbitt. When you say expectations of men, explain what you mean.
One expectation of a man is that you ought to be a man and be strong and support the family and all of that. And that creates...
What's wrong with that expectation? Nothing is wrong with it.
No matter of nothing wrong or right with it.
You go to the family court and you tell the family court judge that you're not going to take care of those children and see what happens to you.
And that's my problem.
You better be strong.
That's the issue. So
you better be resilient.
That has a psychological impact on males and other things as well.
You let thief try to break into the house and you are sleeping. Or a gunman broke into the house and you can I speak a little Jamaican this morning?
You can go ahead.
And your wife is going to say, I will go out and face the gunmen. I will go out and face the ones breaking into the house. No, the man have to go and do it.
And that's the issue. All of that is expectation. And
so what's wrong with that expectation? Maybe it's how we're dealing with the expectation.
Absolutely. Remember, it's not a matter related to interpretation. But that's a matter that you're expected to do some stuff, and all that going to put pressure on you. So you have to work, you have to be strong, you have to be a man, you don't have to cry.
You have to make money. You have to make money. You have to make money. Can I join the discussion a little bit today? You have to make money. or you'll be in problems. Chris Nesbitt, I don't know if you have anything to weigh in on before we head to the break. Expectations of the man.
Yeah, there are a lot of expectations of men in Jamaican culture. I think it's a masculine culture, and as a result of that, we put a lot of pressure on our men to provide. As you said, they have to make money. As Dr. Bourne was you were asking that question, you have to be the protector. And there's a lot that goes into that. And I don't want to vilify those expectations, but some of those expectations we can deal with a little bit of steering in terms of them. We can deal with a little bit of how do we maybe adjust some of these expectations to put a little bit less pressure.
How do you deal with these expectations when you might have a challenge meeting these expectations, Mr. Nesbitt?
Precisely. Is the question how to deal with that when you have a challenge with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the man could lose his job, God forbid.
Right.
Things like that.
Right. And so when those kinds of challenges pose themselves, the expectation might make it so that men receive less sympathy when that is the case.
Yes,
it's like, oh, well, you're less of a man because you've lost a job. And that's when I think we run into problems.
Hold that thought and for a minute, please, because we're up on a break already on the morning watch. Listen, please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Play the worship experience Arise 2025 with the Hoppers. Easter Sunday.
Love 101 FM, the family station, invites you to listen to the 2025-2026 budget presentation by Prime Minister Dr. The Most Honorable Andrew Holness on Thursday, March 20 at 2:15 p.m. live on Love 101 FM, the family station.
It's our business to know how much is being spent in what areas from education to healthcare.
From roads to security, because our taxes help pay for it.
So, the national budget is our business.
The national budget is my business.
It is my business.
The national budget is my business and yours.
The national budget is everybody's business because it impacts every Jamaican. Visit the Ministry of Finance's website at mof.gov.jm for more information.
Let me work hard, for real, to be the most to send me and my brother to school. So, the dream is always to go to university. Well, I fulfill 2 dreams with 1 June bank savings plan enough. I further my education and I make mama proud.
Wishing you could. With your Jane Bank savings, you absolutely can. Jane Bank will help you find a way.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch. The topic being suicide on the rise with men. Why? Those are the questions. Our guests are Dr. Paul Bourne, research consultant, and Chris Nesbeth, licensed associate clinical psychologist. Now, just before the break, Mr. Nesbeth, you are responding to a question, perhaps, or you are giving your views on a particular point. Would you like to continue, sir? Because the whole matter of the expectations of men, for example, one of the last things you said, if the man loses his job and he's not able to provide, he can be made to feel less than a man. Continue, Mr. Nesbeth.
Precisely. And so one of those risk factors that we know that contribute to the suicide of men is a feeling of worthlessness. And so when we are in a place where we're challenged, where we've lost a job, where whatever it is that we identify with ourselves as being masculine, being manly, we have to be kind of within a place where we feel like we can ask for support and we can expect to receive that support rather than to receive more negative thoughts or shaming around the fact that we've lost that identity as men.
Yes, so that's where someone like you comes in, Mr. Nesbeth. How to deal with the situation that you're faced with as a man, because your circumstances, based on how you identify your own manhood, might now make you feel less than one, and also to deal with the matter of shaming, I think, which is something we often don't address. So, Mr. Nesbeth, how can suicide be prevented in these very serious but delicate situations?
So one of the biggest protective factors that we're aware of when it comes to suicide is social support. And so your community is going to play a very big role in helping to prevent that feeling of suicide. And that loneliness is another one of those really big risk factors. So as you can see, it's kind of like a seesaw, because if you have that protective factor of social support, you don't have that risk factor of loneliness. And so if we're able to kind of get ourselves comfortable with just the notion of having conversations about men struggling, the likelihood or the incident of suicide might go down to even lower than Dr. Bourne has already told us that it is. And it seems to be that we're not as high up with those rates as maybe
some other countries. Yes. And any other general comments you want to make in that regard, Mr. Nesbeth? Because every now and then you do hear of a suicide, and it is very shocking and very, unfortunate. And persons will say, well, if there was only something I could have done. Mr. Nesbeth?
Yes. In terms of what you could have done, I love that you kind of asked me if there was anything else I was able to contribute, because a lot of times we also think that the onus is on the man to reach out and share how he is feeling. But a lot of times when our men reach out and they say, hey, I am struggling, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to say. And so we also have to get used to the idea of making space for these difficult conversations and being willing to go into that kind of darkness, being able to go into the struggles that that man is having, even if we don't know the perfect thing to say, holding that space, allowing that man to kind of just share his feelings and validate those feelings, even if you don't have any solutions. That's something that I think we don't have as much conversation around in our society.
Yes, and maybe we need to listen more to. I mean, I know women commit suicide as well. I'm not saying they don't,
Absolutely.
but the men commit suicide, and they're normally more successful in their attempts to commit suicide. So, is it that we need to, for instance, listen more when a man is saying something, because the man might be dropping a hint, but you ignore it because it's a try him all right, man. Mr. Nesbeth, what do we listen for when people are saying something? They might be in a state of depression, but they're trying to not show it. They're dropping hints here and there that they feel their life should end, but they're not coming out right and saying that they want to commit suicide. What are some of the cues we can kind of look for?
So that is something that you've touched on already. Those hints, the language that we find that people are using when they're talking about their life can be a very big hint as to where their mental status is at. And that sense of hopelessness, like, you know, people saying things like, I can't go on, people saying things like, I wish I wasn't here, people saying things like, I wish I didn't wake up this morning. That can be indicative of anything from passive suicidal ideation, which is where you have thoughts of death and you have thoughts of wishing you weren't here, up to active suicidal ideation, where, you know, you're realizing somebody has a plan, somebody has means, somebody has a date in which they're hoping to take their life. And so as we listen to how somebody is speaking, we can see where they fall on that spectrum. And the closer they are to active, the closer they are to possibly.
And if he is using that kind of language and he has a licensed firearm, that's even more of a you know, an issue.
Exactly.
Yes. Dr. Bourne, your thoughts, because you are dealing with research and statistics, and yes, go ahead, Dr. Bourne.
It's a complex one, but what we need to look at, I mean, Mr. Nesbitt spoke extensively to some of the risk factors, but there is in my opinion, there is a balancing act in terms of this, because society would say to the man, go and speak, and if he does, they actually say he's weak. So you need to be very careful with that balancing act. So be careful about going and cry. You know what I mean? It could be dangerous. But there's some other issues that we need to look at.
Dr. Bourne.
There are particular periods in Jamaica where we see a spike in statistics. I look at those periods. January, December, and July.
Yes.
What is special about those periods? January, December, and July.
Yes. The July what? Back to school, leading up to back to school.
And September. So those indicate to you that even though you want to what?
December is Christmas, pressure.
Absolutely.
January, the money done.
School, September is back to school. It shows you that there's an economics to the matter relating to what? Suicide that we need to address as well.
Yes.
And nobody will sorry for you as a male when it's back to school time and it's Christmas time.
Yes.
Nobody.
The culture is designed that way. Even as I said, if you go to the family court, you can't tell the family court judge that you don't have the money to pay that maintenance. You don't.
Absolutely. I remember losing my job a few years ago, and my wife walked out. And I thought I'm in a particular space, and she said,
Evidence.
It's real.
It is a real thing, sir. Real talk. Not a joke thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real talk.
It's difficult for me to be a male.
Yes. Mr. Nesbeth, you just heard Dr. Bourne. Certain times of the year, it's likely the rates of suicide will go up. There's an economic component. You want to?
That makes sense to me. That does not surprise me when we say that there's an economic component, because one of those risk factors, again, and I loved, I'm really hearkening on the risk factors here, is economic hardship. It's also marital decline or relationship loss. So again, as men, you know, we really do kind of pride ourselves on how we can provide. We really do pride ourselves on being in these long-lasting, stable, romantic relationships with our significant others. And so when we lose those, it can kind of contribute to that sense of hopelessness. Like, why am I here if I can't even provide for my children? Why am I here if I cannot even keep my wife in this relationship with me? It can cause these kinds of really big existential questions. And if we can't point to something that says you were here for these reasons, that can kind of lead us into a spiral where it feels like, well, then I am of no use, really, to anybody.
Yes. And then the media also contributes. You see all these movies, men able to provide for their wives and their families and so on and so forth. And, all these expectations are just all around in the society being promoted through various forms. But solutions, where can people get help? Men and women too, but men, focusing on men this morning. Mr. Nesbeth, and Dr. Bourne as well, if someone is thinking of suicide, God forbid, where do they turn? We know that, for example, there is Choose Life International, which is one organization which exists. But some people, when they're in a state of, feeling hopeless, what can the average person do? And then maybe they are led elsewhere to other more specialist groups or bodies. But what can the average person in the moment, in the instant moment can do? Starting with you, Mr. Nesbeth.
So, and we hit on this already. The average person has to be able to reach out to somebody that they anticipate is going to be supportive. So like you said, Dr. Bourne, you can't reach out to somebody that you expect is going to maybe poke fun at you for crying. You need to reach out to somebody that you feel, all right, this person is going to be able to sit and hear me and listen to what my issues are.
Well, let me ask you this, Mr. Nesbeth. Can I call the police if I think someone is going to commit suicide? I mean, as basic as that.
Well, see, the thing with suicide is it's a medical emergency. And it might not be that the police is appropriate in the case of a medical emergency. If somebody is, for example, bleeding out, you're more likely to call.
What if the person is thinking of suicide? They haven't done it yet, but they are thinking of committing suicide. I understand. My understanding is that if the person is contemplating suicide, but they have not done anything yet, that you can call the police. But I don't really hear a lot of this discussion being, I don't really hear much of this discussion in the media. Is that something you have heard of, Mr. Nesbeth?
It is some discussion I've heard of, not in the context of Jamaican media, but all that to say, it's better that you go to an emergency room or you find your way to an emergency room. That is likely to get you the better.
Take the person to a hospital emergency room.
Yes.
Or if they have not actually done anything physically yet, to a counselor, pastor, someone in the church, maybe to offer a word of encouragement. Is that the sort of thing you're suggesting, Mr. Nesbeth?
Precisely. So on the more extreme end of things, where the person doesn't feel safe in their own company, hospital, emergency room. On the more moderate to mild case of things, finding that person support. As you said, if the person is religious, getting them to pastoral counseling, getting them to maybe, if the church has any kind of support group for people that are going through mental health difficulties, all the way down to finding a trusted individual that you can speak to. So it does kind of run that wide gamut across the spectrum there. And so yes, support at the milder end, and emergency services at the more severe end.
And I'm aware of groups such as Choose Life International, which of course they're online. They're located right here in Kingston. Dr. Bourne, any final word you want to leave with us before we wrap today? In a couple of seconds.
Mr. Nesbitt spoke about the police, and I'm saying yes, we have been sensitizing in terms of the police, in terms of understanding these related to suicide. A matter of fact, the police has even published an extensive article on suicide. Try to make their members be aware of the importance of even the thought of suicide and being willing to actually go out and assist. We also have the family life ministry, but there are times as men we need to make ourselves available to other men. Sometimes we're not. We only sit down as men and say, okay, then how you there, brother? And you're gone in a few seconds.
Yes.
Sit down and listen and to talk. We rarely do that as men. That's where
we rarely do that as men. And we need to do more of that. That is a way in which we can end today. We need to do more than just talk about the things which are sort of light, and sometimes talk about things that are really affecting us. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. And of course, thank you, gentlemen, for being with us today, Dr. Bourne and Mr. Nesbeth. Thank you so much for your time and for your thoughts.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, listeners, again. And of course, join Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint next week as he looks at the issues of the day. Of course, join us on our YouTube channel and Facebook page, and now TikTok at Love 101 FM Jamaica for this and all other Love 101 FM programs. And of course, download our Love 101 app. And don't stay connected to us, the family station, Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall. Hang it back to Love in the Morning with Chukal.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness works to ensure